Is this the first time you did a public reading?
Yes, it was. Thank you very much. Good to see.
How did it feel in terms of the audience reaction?
I think my crowd is not so much into raunchy jokes. They did like the other ones, and I hope they kept a nice humorous tone throughout the whole show.
Were there some lines that you were surprised weren't that you really wanted to share about?
Well, the harmonica joke takes a little while to get to. I think after a while you get it. And it's really slow, you can see. But yeah, so it was, it was a little raunchy. It was a bit like Harold and Kumar, but also a nice romantic tone throughout. And hopefully you guys had fun of the plot devices that I put in there too, which I thought were, it's nice to use some Chinese traditions and put it in there and just take it to the nth degree. It's a film, supernatural. Take it where your creativity can take it to.
How has the story evolved?
Oh, it's been over 10 years. I started this 10 years ago when they first said that Asian Americans, if they want to have their own stories, they got to write it themselves. I started it, as you can see, it takes a long time. That's not my background, I'm not a writer. And, but I kept it, I used to be a consultant, and I looked at the big picture. It's like, what does the Asian American community need? What images do they want to see? And I started from there and built this. The other things also prevent whitewashing of Asian American films, where if you make your Asian American characters too much like mainstream people, you can easily substitute them with non-Asian characters. So that's why the premise was to have this Asian spirit wedding, where it was hopefully a little harder for Hollywood to try and whitewash that out.
Were there times when you were torn between how far to push certain characters or certain premises?
Yeah, it's a little hard to see where it goes. The ending was obviously my challenge. I killed off my female protagonist early on. It's a romantic comedy. I gotta have a happy ending. How do I do that? So that's actually one of the most curious things I'm gonna ask is, what do you think of the ending?
Shall we open it up to the audience?
Go ahead.
Feedback, comments, please. We need help. Well, let's first address the whole notion of the tone of it in terms of identity and everything. How did people react to that? Because I take it you don't see a lot of movies like this, right? Would you go to see it?
Yeah.
And why? Yes.
I would definitely go to see it because I laughed and laughed and laughed. One, I don't always stay awake during the best movies, the movies that I like the most, because of sleep apnea. However, even though I went in and out a little bit.
Are you a copywriter?
I wasn't, but I caught all the jokes, I understood them all, the vagina dentata, the harmonica, everything, and I kept on saying, I want to be in this movie, I'm willing to invest a small amount.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to turn it over to the cast as well, in terms of how you approached your role, how you grappled with certain things and certain identity issues.
Well, I would like to first say that I had an opportunity to read an earlier draft of the script. I have to say that even in the process of working towards this reading, I thought there were tremendous improvements in the ability of the way that the script really flowed, and I felt like it really it did bring out a lot more. I have the opportunity to play like the most fun character I really have ever been to play, because there isn't a lot presupposed about, sort of what Chinese demigods are like when they, or ghost hunters are when they show up out of paintings and things, into that. So, and I think that a lot of those things reflect the reality. And honestly, I'll tell you, my very initial read through when I balked right away when I heard the first when I heard Will and Fred with the sideways vagina joke. Just because for me it just seemed like, okay, it seemed dated to me. It really seemed sort of out of place. Really in the last week sort of reading through it, you realize that as a set altogether, they really do play, because it really kind of tells you that it's going to be over the top. And after sort of hearing it for a while, you realize that the interplay of Will and Fred in the grander scheme of things is actually sort of more important than the joke itself. Like the characters and being able to play with the other actors really made it sort of come alive. And because it's such a broad world, I can't really say like, well, what doesn't belong? It's like once you get the spirit wedding thing brought in, and everything seems to sort of it starts to make sense in it as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah, the first draft is like such a huge difference from this draft to the last draft. Like the first draft I read, I was a little hesitant. I was like, it's kind of funny. And then the second one, I'm like, man, this is really good. Like, there's such a big difference. But I just really love how you just like opened it up to Asian Americans and kept it that way, which I thought was awesome. And I'm really glad about that. And I love to get the beat up. Fun.
Well, there's that fine line about respecting the culture and then wanting to make something that people will see. And the whole notion of commercials. Do you feel that as the drafts evolved, we're making it safer, more commercial, or just better across the board?
Well, I think I've learned a couple of things. Like, one thing Asian American films are known for is never being profitable. They don't make money. They aren't seen much. Why is that? Sometimes I think it's too Asian ethnic focused. It's too much on Koreans. Japanese don't want to see it. Chinese don't want to see it. If it's too focused on Asian culture, that's another problem, because I was born here, a lot of you folks were born here, a lot of Asian Americans are like, oh God, we have to go through this again, because it's been done a million times over. This was a film for people of my generation, born here in the USA. We have friends that are non-Asian, we have co-workers, we have friends, and those are the people that I think can relate. That's one thing I want to ask you, is like, the characters that I saw here, are they relatable to the Asians you know? Are they, if you're Asian, is that the person you are? Because I didn't want to focus more on the old culture and all the old tired, oh, it's so hard to adjust to American culture. No, we are part of American culture. And so like the jokes I sort of put in there were more like stuff we have to face, like the poor girls in the Joy Fuck Club and all those other, come on, the guys with the stereotypes in Hollywood. Let's embrace that and make it funny. Turn it around, and I think our friends that are not Asian will understand, yeah, it's funny, but yeah, I can see why it's racist.
Was that the sense that audience members had? In terms of the characters, did you relate to them? Did you care about them?
Actually, I like the part that the Asian characters were really capable of relating or knowing the Asian part of themselves. I think it was really funny for me. And then the Jewish woman, she knew more. And it was very very funny for me. I think you can work on that more.
I noticed there was a Jewish theme in it too. It was Asian and Jewish.
Well, as part of my background, I grew up in a middle-class Jewish neighborhood. I've always had Jewish people as friends in my high school, and so to me, it just seemed kind of, they say a lot of cultures are the same. When we joke around, like, yeah, our grandmas are exactly the same. They always act the same way. How are they trying to set us up? So I thought I'd put it in there. And,
Did you grow up in Brooklyn?
Queens, close enough.
Close enough. Good for you.
Because there's the notion of the divot in Jewish culture, and then you have, you know, the spirits here. You know, it is a very interesting blend.